Alright, let's talk about some good old crypto, which actually on this channel I haven't talked for a while now. If you've been watching my recent videos, I've been more and more investing into dividend growth stocks, which I really enjoy. But technically I still hold more Bitcoin and crypto than I do dividend stocks. And that's why in this video I want to talk a little bit about it, see what's happening in the industry, and share with you some of my thoughts, what I will be doing with my crypto holdings going forward. Now, first off, I'm definitely not here to create any kind of FUD or uncertainty in you. I'm just here to share my own journey. I do make a lot of mistakes along the way, but by documenting my investing journey on YouTube, hopefully over time, I do become a better investor. Now, when we look back at the price development of many of the most established cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, it has remained largely flat. Now, there have been little bull and bear trends along the way, but largely it remained sort of flat. If I look back exactly today, 1 year ago, basically we're at a similar price point, so there hasn't been too much movement there. But what has happened was a lot of drama around cryptocurrencies. As you can see over here, quite a number of dramas over the last 2 years. What happened, obviously, from the collapse of FTX to Celsius to many other crypto exchanges out there. Then we had the drama surrounding Ledger, where they potentially would have access to your private seed phrase. And now most recently and prominently, we have the SEC over in the US, who seem to be going after and suing Coinbase and Binance. Now, the SEC on Tuesday allegedly filed illegal actions against Coinbase, which according to them was operating as an unregistered securities dealer. Now, for me, that's quite interesting because it was the SEC that gave the approval and go ahead for Coinbase to be listed on the Nasdaq. So we'll see how this develops. While at the same time, the SEC is heavily going after Binance, which is arguably the largest crypto exchange in the world. Apparently in 2022, they facilitated 70% of all global crypto transactions was done through Binance. So you can imagine if they're starting to shake, it's really going to have a huge ripple effect across the entire crypto industry. Now, obviously, Binance already many years ago moved out of the US and apparently even didn't allow US citizens to trade through their platform. But apparently the SEC accuses Binance that they still had some kind of backdoor mechanisms that allowed US citizens to trade through Binance. So that's something they're going back and forth between. Obviously, Binance pushes back on that. So we'll see. I believe they're registered right now in Dubai and other jurisdictions around the world. But the SEC obviously has global powers as the US has. Imagine if they would be able to force Binance into freezing any US held assets with them. That can really send shivers through the industries, and a lot of people might pull their funds from finance, which will obviously put liquidity issues onto Binance. People will panic, withdraw their funds, and then once again we have a downward spiral of momentum and price actions across the crypto assets. For now, these are just talks. Obviously, some of them have been going on for a while. The SEC has constantly been pinpointing at Binance, at Coinbase. So far, they still continued operating. There might also be a silver lining, right? Maybe they're going to be slapped with a fine that they're going to have to pay off, but then eventually we're going to have clear regulations in place, and then investors actually become more confident, because right now there's still a lot of gray areas on how certain crypto assets are being treated. Is it a security? Is it a commodity? How are the taxations, etc.? So there's still a lot of question marks surrounding that. So maybe it can be a positive impetus into getting clear regulations and structures in place where more investors, institutional investors, feel comfortable putting larger amounts of money into such kind of platforms. Interestingly enough, my exchange of choice, Nexo, has been doing very well through all these turbulent times. They're not really ever mentioned or sued in these big lawsuits. I still have a small amount with them actually, even though the majority of my crypto holdings I do keep on my Ledger hardware wallet. So it remains to be seen what will happen to those big exchanges. I think that will be very crucial into what directions crypto is going in the future. But the second big concern that I have for myself for crypto going forward, and that's CBDCs, central bank digital currency. That's basically individual countries that come out with their own form of cryptocurrencies, basically the digital native currency. They're really going to start pushing this down onto the citizens, and at the same time, obviously, they might crack down harder on alternative forms of cryptocurrency. And we've seen China really pushing hard on this, and so far it seems to be doing well for them. Eventually, I can really see them completely transition away from the current yuan currency to the digital yuan currency, which is a CBDC, which basically allows them to track every single transactions that all of their citizens do constantly in real time, which honestly for me is quite scary. And that at the same time obviously also means that they will not allow their citizens to use any other cryptocurrencies except for their own governmentally issued CBDC. So what am I doing with my own cryptocurrency? I do own one full Bitcoin, which is my biggest holding, and then a bit of Ethereum and some Polygon. And sadly, I bought it pretty much at the height. My cost basis is around 45,000 euros per Bitcoin. Obviously, we know the price now is much less. So honestly, despite the risky outlook for cryptocurrency in general, right now, I'm really not in a situation where I want to sell, because that would mean I would be materializing my losses, and I'm really not interested in generating losses, right? Right now, I'm holding it at a loss, but I'm not selling. So I'm waiting and seeing. I'm also not buying any more crypto. Instead, I'm really committed into investing into dividend stocks, but at the same time, I'm not panic selling. I'm holding on to it, and we'll see what will happen. I think one great impetus for Bitcoin in particular will be the next upcoming halving cycle of Bitcoin, which will actually happen on the 26th of April 2024. And halving basically means that miners who are creating new Bitcoin blocks or facilitating transactions are going to be paid less for the work that they're doing, meaning that there's going to be less of a financial incentive for them to do such kind of transactions. And usually that process happens every 4 years. And when we look at the price development after the halving, it usually goes up quite significantly in the following days after the halving process. So I think that could be a nice positive momentum trigger for the next Bitcoin major price increase. So maybe after that will happen and the price shoots up to above my cost basis, I might trim some of my positions. I don't think I'm going to sell all of it, but maybe reduce it a little bit and then obviously shift some of it into some other investments, either real estate or my dividend growth stocks. So we'll see. But honestly, long term, I do have a lot of question marks, while of course at the same time I see the positive appeal. I want Bitcoin to succeed and other cryptos as well. But obviously, if governments are really cracking down, coming up with their own CBDCs, they're going to make it so much harder for people to transact with cryptocurrencies that eventually people may just not end up using it at all. And that obviously in turn will lower the price for the asset, because I generally believe into market pricing. Forget about intrinsic value. Most people will say Bitcoin doesn't have intrinsic value. Well, guess what? Neither does a Picasso painting have any intrinsic value. It's just because people place a value onto it. I mean, for all I care, these paintings could be worth millions, right? I could just ask for $1 million for them. But guess what? Nobody will pay it because, it's nothing special. It's only special once people agree on it. The same with banknotes, right? The actual value of the banknote is pretty much zero. It's just because we know if we give it to somebody, they will take it and accept the value for it. That's why we have an agreement that this piece of paper is worth a certain price. The same was true with Bitcoin. Right now, I can use my Bitcoin to buy stuff because somebody else will trust that they can use the Bitcoin and use it for themselves in the future. So it has an agreed upon value that does obviously fluctuate. The same is true for gold, right? So for me, the argument of lack of intrinsic value doesn't really count. Long story short, I'm going to be holding on to my cryptocurrencies. I'm just going to wait and see. I'm definitely going to closely monitor the development of those legal cases and see where that takes us. If they're really heavily cracking down on all of those exchanges, then I might trigger some earlier sales before it goes really to zero, which could be a case as well. But hopefully I will just hold on to it, wait until the next halving cycle and next year, and then sell some of my positions for a profit and then reallocate it to other asset classes. Guys, the next few videos will also be more of these kind of blog styles, a bit less editing, as I'm actually embarking on my journey to become a married man. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going off to travel to Barcelona and other parts of Spain for our wedding and then our subsequent honeymoon. So I'm really excited about that. But I don't want to let you down and keep pushing out the videos regularly, but they might be a little bit shorter, a little bit less editing and just casual talking style. So I hope you still enjoy them. If you do, please give a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment below what you will do with cryptocurrencies. Are you buying, holding, selling? Really excited to hear from you. Next up, check out this video over here or not. It's up to you, your choice, but it's definitely worth it. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.